back in as admin, and I'll show you how that works. So if I go into user management, I just got the password, by the way. There it is right there. But I'll get to that in a minute. So I just clicked on user management here in the left bar, and these are all the users in the system. You can narrow it down by typing in someone's last name or first and last name to get right to the record. Because this is a paged grid, you know, you could have 200 people in this grid. So if you want to quickly get to a record, you can search by name. You just simply hit reset password, and what that will do is reset the password, send the user the temp password, and then they would log in with that temp password.
Dan, I have a question.
Yeah.
And it's not quite related to the user page, but you mentioned that the system will generate an email for the user and invite them to, will verify that they're a new user and invite them to set up a password?
That's right.
Okay. So will the system does it have the capability that with the new system to send email? Like if we wanted to send an email from our system with the contacts out to a particular contact? I know I'm jumping ahead, or maybe that's not.
No, that's a good question. We actually have that built into this, but we have it disabled right now. But if you needed that feature, I could quickly turn it on and show you how that works. The problem there is, and this is something you'll have to have a conversation with Floyd about, is I guess the DOL has problems with the mail being routed through our servers. So that's the reason why we turned that off. So that's a battle that you're going to have with them. Because right now, the way this works, if we turn on the mail system, you know, all that mail is pumped through our mail server. And, you know, since these, and I understand that most of these, you know, maybe they're not going to government people, you know, because your contact manage, you know, your contacts in the system could be people that showed up at an event that are just, you know, non-DOL employees, and maybe that would be okay. So maybe that's the pitch for them. You know, you tell them, look, we're sending emails out, but they're not going to DOL people. You know, I'm not sure how that conversation goes, but right now we have it. You know, we have it disabled. We have the capability. It's just disabled.
Right. I know it was during one of the other phases we had established that in the system as part of the work we did. But I guess I was asking because at some point the system will transition back to DOL servers. So will that, given that fact, will that allow us that capability at that point, or
yes,
will we
definitely.
Will be routed through net digital servers once we transition back to DOL?
No. That'll be yours, because the way we have a server set up that could sit behind your firewall, that could be on a DOL server, on a government server, and that would actually use your mail service. We would just point everything there. See, since our servers live outside of your firewall, you know, we can't point our mail to you guys. You know, that's not going to work. But if this is living and breathing within your firewall, and it's part of your, you know, within your network, this will work. The mail system will work as designed.
So once you move it over to the department server, then you can turn that function on.
Yes, and it's already written. It's just then we could point it to your mail servers.
I know what he's saying. He just commented.
It's just this application exists outside of, you know, your firewall right now, so we can't really cross that boundary.
Okay, so I guess I'm looking at the bigger picture down the road, because that's one of those capabilities that was you know, really vital to us to be able to communicate with our contacts that are within WBIS.
Yep.
You know, to do mailings. You initially had worked on configuring the system so that it would allow that capability, and if we're on DOL servers and it's capable, we'd like to have the ability to do that.
Yes, and you will be able to do that without a doubt.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yep. Okay, so let me go back to my email here, and what you'll see here is where did it put that email? Oh, here, password reset instructions. So if you remember when I did that password list registration, the user gets an email that looks like that. So it says, this link will actually go to the actual login page. This is on my local host, so it won't work. And here's their temp password. So now the user would click on that link. It would bring them here. They would log in again with their email address. They'd put that temp password in, and they'd log in. At this point, it's going to send them to the registration page where they put in their security questions. You've seen this page before in 1.0. And then their current password is the one that was sent to them in the email. And then they put in their new password. One of the new features we've added is better password security. So there's actually a minimum requirement now. It's like, more than 8 characters, 1 special character, 1 numeric, something like that.
Do you know what it is exactly? Because I'm sure they're going to ask.
Yeah. It's more than 8 characters, 1 uppercase, a numeric, and 1 special character.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And we can send that to you as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and activate my account. Success. So now if I log in with this guy using my new password, I should be able to get in. Oops. Okay, so now I'm in with this new account. I have this user set up as a San Francisco person. So all the data, that's visible is data within that region. So events and contacts within San Francisco. We'll come back to this. I'm going to log back in as my admin. All right. So let me go back to this document here. So better password security, I just talked about that. Implements minimum password standard. And then you saw the security questions for protection. So improved administrator capabilities. So let me go in the admin. And I'm kind of going to breeze through this because there's a lot here. But a lot of it's, what you had in the old system. It's just we're doing it a little differently. So we have, managing some of your lookup data like prefixes, if you remember this. So here's the prefixes. You can add new prefixes. You can edit one. So there's doctor. Suffixes, races. You only have 1 race in there. So that's how you would manage some of those lookup values. You've seen manage users, manage new users. You saw that with the King Kong record in there. Manage roles are roles within the system. These are arbitrary roles. So we have the 3 that you can't touch are site admin, system admin, and user. Those are static in the system. All the other ones, this mother, father, sister, and all these other ones are user-defined roles. And you can create any role that you like in the system. So, you know what? Let me show you this because I'm going to show you a new feature called relationships, and I'll show you how this works and how you use it with contact records. So we'll create a new role here called company owner. I'll create 2 other ones. Company employee and let's do company POC, point of contact. Okay, so that's how quickly you can manage roles or add new roles to the system, and you can assign roles to any user in the system or any contact in the system. I'm going to jump over to relationships because I want to show you how you can create relationships out of these roles. And this is all brand new. This doesn't exist in the other system. So I'm going to pick company employee and say its child record. Oh, I'm sorry, company owner. And we're going to say its child record is company employee. I'm going to create another relationship and say company owner and company POC. So now you can see company owner has a relationship to company employee and company POCs. The relationships are totally arbitrary. You can make them however you want. You can make them as complex as you want. You can make them just 2 levels, 3 levels, however you want to do it. It basically shows you a tree of that relationship. When you start managing your contact records, you can label somebody as an owner, and then you can label 2 people under him as company employees. So you can see how that relationship can kind of tie these records together in a way that you couldn't before.
So this would just be used for contacts.
Yeah, this would be for contacts. Like if you want to be able to group them in some way or relate them, by some kind of hierarchy like this, you can do it. Code types and code values. This is the.
I'm sorry, Dan.
Yeah.
We were just trying to see how this particular feature would benefit the women's group, how we could actually utilize that functionality.
I think that would probably be a question for your users. If there's a way, in the past, if they were like, it would be really cool if we could, take this person, maybe he's an event organizer, and he has people under him that help them organize that event, and you want to be able to, show that relationship, you could do it now. If there's another arbitrary way that maybe I'm not thinking of, where you want to connect a user with another user, you could do that. In the old system, you couldn't do that. All you could have is users that were only connected to the region that they were in, and then you had a variety of codes that you could connect to those users. But there was no way to really connect one user to another user, and that's how you can use this. I mean, I think that's more of a question, like I said, for your users. Maybe see if that would be an important feature. It's there if you need it, and if you don't, it'll sit there. But yeah.
And I agree. I think you're correct, and I think that's something we'll propose to, or we'll get feedback from our regions, because they are the ones who will be utilizing the system, beyond, what we're doing here today.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm thinking about initiatives and how some of our initiatives link up, or how when the regions have events, they often will connect the contact or link a contact to a particular event. If it's a
exactly right. I mean, I know some of your codes, and I forget which ones, but they had like team leader and team member, as sub-values on those codes. This would be a perfect place for that. You could actually have the team member or the team leader, and then the team member under that, and then you can actually make those relationships with the actual contact records.
Okay, and I'm sure the regions will be able to give greater insight on that, so that'll be very helpful too. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, if you wanted to do it with something like initiatives, I'm sure we could add that in as well. Like it'll still be a relationship, but you could say this initiative is connected to this contact or this event.
Right, or say, for example, if there's a list of participants who attended, say, the paid leave event, we'll be able to link that to, or those contacts who participated in that event with the particular initiative.
That's a little different, because then that's an attendee to the event, and that relationship is different. But
I know the regions will want to. I mean, we had that capability. Well, we had discussed, creating that capability, and I think there was some work done on that. So if there's a way to incorporate that as well, continue to have that capability, I'm sure the regions will want that. Because that's in terms of, pulling out lists and, being able to maybe submit another event or submit another list of names for another event. We want to invite them to a similar event or something like that. Yeah.
You could definitely do that. I mean, you would have for the events, you'd have your attendees, right? But then your attendees would have some kind of relationship with other attendees, or with the with the coordinator, or with someone within that group of contacts. So
like if they were a speaker too, like
exactly.
You're a moderator,
exactly right.
Or something like that.
Right. And when we get to the contact section, I'll show you how this works, how we actually relate people together.
Maybe.
So we'll show this on the contact.
The event.
Yeah. We'll definitely hit that as well, and I think that's the last thing we'll hit is events. Okay, so let's flip back here. So that was lookup data management, and then codes management. This was what I was about to show you. This is drastically different. If you remember in 1.0, when you're looking at a contact record, you had all those tabs for subject code, initiatives, region codes, and there was 4 or 5 different tabs for all your different codes. Now your codes are in one place, so you can create any arbitrary code that you want. The ones that I have in here are the ones that are familiar to you. They should be. They're the ones that exist in 1.0. So we have initiatives, organizations. We have all these. We have region codes in there. But you can also create a new type of code that maybe we didn't think of before. So I just call it new code type. Is it a 2-level code? If you remember, some of your codes are 1 level, like initiatives had 1 value associated to that code. But like in region, I think your region codes were 1 level as well. But subject codes were 2 levels. Like you had, you had a 2nd level to that code. It was basically 2 drop-down lists, if you think of it that way. So the 2 levels is 2 drop-down lists. Obviously 1 level is just a single drop-down list. But if I save this, you'll see that I added a new code type here. You know what? I'll make it 2 level so you can see. I did check it at 2 level. So code values. So if we wanted to add values to those codes, if we click on this feature here, we click on the one that we want to add values to. So new code type, that was the one that I just created. Add code, click on the add code button, and then we just start adding codes. So here's the first value. We'll call it code A, and we'll add code A, B, and C as the first level. And you can see I have A and B in here now. And then we'll do code C. So here's our new code type that takes 3 values as its first value. And then maybe we want to add some codes under B that are sub values. So under B, we'll add code number Roman numeral 1, 2, and we'll do 3. We'll do 3 codes for under B. So under B, we have these 3 code values, and if I flip to like A, you'll see that there's nothing under those. I haven't defined any subcode values. So this is what a 2 code value code type would look like. Now let me show you ones that are familiar to you. Well, if we looked at initiatives, for example, you can see there's only 1 code type under initiative. This is a single value code type. You can also see those codes on this grid down here. But if I flip to like subject code, for example, I think that's a 2 code one. This is a 2 code one. So if I flip here, you'll see that we have 2 drop downs here. So we have construction, and then under construction we have these subcode values. If we look down here, you can actually see this little greater than sign separates the 2 values. So the code would be construction e-news volume 2. Now, one of the improvements that we made, and this was kind of it was really clunky in the old system, because every time you needed to add a new system, you had to go to the admin pages to do it. So if you were, say you're looking at a contact record and there was a new code, well, you had to jump out of that record. You had to go to admin, add the code, flip back to contacts, search for the person, click edit, click on the codes tab, click add code, see the new code, pick it, hit add, and 10 steps later you have your new code. We've streamlined that, so now you can actually add codes while you're looking at a record. And I'll show you how that looks as soon as we get to that part. So any questions so far?
No.
Okay. So hopefully you guys can see the big improvement there. Before, and I wish I had the other app, I could probably show you side by side. For all these different code values, there were different screens to manage every single one of them. Now it's all in one place. So that makes it a little bit easier. For region codes, you can see region codes is a 2-value code. I didn't put anyone any of the codes in here for any of these except for San Francisco because we're demoing this. So if I flip to San Francisco, this is Anna's region. I just took some of her codes and put them in here so that we can kind of play around with it. So, but this is where all your codes go for the different regions. And like I said, the only one that I populated was San Francisco. Okay. All right. So flipping back out. So that's all of number 2, this code management piece. You know, we have multi-level, multi-selectable. You know what? Let me jump over and show you that real quick. Multi-selectable, by the way. We're going to look at my new code one. I'm going to make this. I'm going to leave this not multi-selectable because all the other ones I have in there are multi-selectable. What this means is if a code is multi-selectable, you can pick that code type more than once for a contact. So for a region code, for example, a contact may have a bunch of region codes. You know, a single contact may have a dozen region codes. That would be multi-selectable region code type. Now, if this is unchecked, then it can only be a single value. So if you change the region code, it would actually change the one value. You could only have a single value. I will keep this one as a single value so you can see how that looks on the user side or on the contact side. So that's what multi-selectable means. It'll make more sense when I show it to you. So improved contact management. So now we're going to jump right to contact so I can show you how codes works on this end. So we're going to, let's go into my record. So here's my record. I'm going to go ahead and select it. It's going to open up basically what you had before. It's kind of a tabbed view of the contact. We can do portraits now. By default, this is just a broken image, but I put one in there for myself. But if you wanted to have images on people, you could do that as well. That was one of the improvements we made. Most of the fields that you had in the old system are here. Except we added this social media link, so maybe someone has a Facebook URL or a LinkedIn account or something like that. So we added a couple new fields for a user. One of the big things, and this was a request that you guys had last year or maybe a couple of years ago, is how do you break company off? Because if you remember in the old system, company was a field on the contact record. I mean, it was a free-form text field. So, if you had a company and you're putting 10 people in there that are part of the same company, you're entering in the company information 10 times over again. There was no relationship between a person and an actual physical record for a company. So we've done that in the new system. So now we've broken this off. So you can see there's no company information here. There's actually a company tab. So if you go to company, the company tab, you'll see that this person works for Net Digital Solutions. Here's the phone number, here's the contact email address, and here's the website for that company, and here's the departments within that company. So how do you manage this company data? It's pretty easy. You just search for a company. Let's say we want to change this guy's company. Maybe this was a mistake. He works somewhere else. You hit search. These are all the companies we have in the system right now. Maybe he works for this Acme Inc. company or the DOL. We'll say DOL. We'll select that. So now he works for the DOL. It's going to redraw the map. You can click on directions to that location. There's no department information here because we don't have any defined for the DOL. But let me go in and go into one of these records, for example. Let's go back into Net Digital Solutions. We'll edit that record. So here's all the contact information on Net Digital. So if we wanted to change the address or the phone number, we do it all here. If you want it, here's the department. Maybe we want to add a new department. Sales. So now we have engineering, and we have sales in there twice, but we have sales and marketing. If I save this, let me pick. We're still Department of Labor. Let me change back over to Net Digital as our company. You can see the new department that I've added, sales, so we'll make them part of sales. But you can see now, if we created a new record and we wanted to attach that contact record to Net Digital, we just select it. We don't have to enter in that information all over again like you did in the old system. So that's a pretty big improvement. Any questions there?
No.
Okay. All right. So codes. Here's what I wanted to show you with codes. So codes, if you remember, like I said, we had tabs going all the way across for every code type. Now your codes are all in a drop-down. So say we wanted to add an initiative code for my record. You simply add code. You pick the code that you want to add, and you select it. We just added an initiative. If we wanted to add an organization, a responsibility code, we just pick it. This is a 2-level one. So we'll pick the first one. I think this only has one drop down. We'll select it. So now we have a responsibility code and 2 levels. We picked annual acquisition plan and lead as the second value. And then the more important one is region codes. I'm going to add a region code. The only codes I have in here are for San Francisco. So we go in here, we pick a code for that. We select it. Now we have a region code in there for this record. So you can see how quickly I'm adding codes. Before you had to jump around tabs. And here's the big thing. If you're doing a region code and say the code's not in there, it's a new code, you can just add code right here. You don't have to go, you don't have to jump into admin. You just add your new code here and call it code X. Select that code, and that's how quickly I just added a new code, San Francisco code X. So that's probably one of the biggest improvements, at least that your guys are going to feel, because I know codes and region codes, that's a big part of it. And adding code and managing the codes can be done here without actually giving that user admin rights, because that's what we don't want to do. We don't want to give your normal users admin rights. We don't want them to go in there and be able to mess around with users and stuff like that. So we move that functionality out to the contact record so that your normal users can manage codes.
Okay, so that's not something that will have to be done, by our system administrators. That's something that each region can do if they wanted to. Exactly,
because that's something I really didn't see. When I wrote the first one, is I thought that would be handled by your admin people. Well, hindsight, it's not. I mean, Anna was in there. Oh, how do I add a new region code? And I knew she wasn't an admin, and I was like, you got to go into admin to do that. So well, guess what? We had to give her admin rights.
Right.
So I broke that off now. Now we can actually separate the two, give people rights to manage codes, but not manage user records.
Okay, that's cool. That sounds good. Because some of each region's codes will vary, and even though we have a national office, global, codes or initiatives, they may have their own individual, activities they have going on.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly right.
Cheryl?
Yes.
I'm just noticing the time, and I want to make sure that you guys still have time to continue, or if you'd like to continue tomorrow, or I'm just being aware of your time.
Okay, I appreciate that. Do you all have about till 12:15, because I've actually been
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Okay, we're good until 12:15, if that's okay. And I think you sent out an email for perhaps tomorrow for additional training.
Yes, and
so if you heard back from us, so what time did you propose for tomorrow? Was that
I think 11 o'clock is good for them. They said, I think Sherry and Victor, if that's still okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Can
Okay,
you
I'll
send us a
send out.
calendar invite for that, please?
Yes, I can do that right after this.
Thank you.
That'll be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, and we don't have much longer here, so the front side we're going to be able to breeze through it pretty quickly. So that's codes. Relationships. So if you remember those records I created for like company, company owner and company employee, here's all the relationships that we have defined. So we'll do company owner to company employee, and I'm just going to pick a bunch of employees that work for me. I'm the company owner, and I want to pick some people in the system here that actually work for me, that are my employees. So I'm just going to pick a handful here. And you can page through. The thing that's kind of nice about this selection tool is you can page through, and it does remember what things you've checked on the previous pages. So you can actually go all the way through here and, you know, pick a bunch. Click OK, and then save it, and you're going to see the hierarchy here get built. So you can see Dan Monteg is the company owner, and then all these people actually work for me. I could also do the same thing for like a POC, you know, if I want to pick a POC. Let me show you the advanced search real quick. You saw me just hitting search. That brings up everything. But, you know, you can search on last name or first name, last name. It will, you know, do a search that way as well. You could also do an advanced search. So, you know, if you want to search on a company or a department or a contact record or, you know, someone within these roles, if I'm just, you know, interested in searching for, you know, people within a certain role, you would just check those boxes. So you do have the ability to kind of filter your search down a little bit. And we're going to improve this, by the way, make it so you can search by codes, because I think that would be pretty important if you want to search, you know, for records that are, you know, attached to a certain code value. That might be pretty helpful. But let me go ahead and pick a POC. We'll pick her as a POC and then save it. And you'll see now that we have, I'm the company owner, and these are employees, and here's our POC down here that we just added. And like I said, this tree can kind of go on forever. You could have relationships under a POC or under an employee, or so this tree kind of, you know, can grow. You know, with this one, it's 2 levels. But for the P card system that we recently did, you know, they have 4 different levels on their tree. They have a card holder, you know, someone that holds a credit card, and then we have an AO, and then an AOPC, and I think we have another one after that. So, so you can have the relationships grow. So that's how the whole relationship thing works. You know, you can have, you know, father to son. Maybe I'm a father, and, you know, I have some daughters, and maybe these 2 people are my daughters. And again, these relationships are pretty arbitrary. So when I look at the relationship father to daughter, you'll see that I'm a father and I have these 2 daughters. So there's just the way that with that relationships, you can make kind of arbitrary connections between records. So that might be something that's helpful. Roles are just roles. You've seen these. We've added these roles, so you can see I'm a father. You saw that I added that. It will implicitly add roles through relationships. So if you add a relationship and you don't have that role, it will also add that role. So you don't have to add the role first and go do a relationship. It's smart enough to add the role if you pick the right, you know, if you pick a relationship. You can also just add roles kind of on the fly. You know, if you want to say that, you know, you know, I'm a mother, which doesn't really make sense. So I'm a father and a mother. You can kind of add those on the fly on that tab. And then, like I said before, you can see here I'm a mother, right? If I wanted to do the advanced search and filter on role, I could say, you know, show me all the mothers in the system. Show me all the mothers in the system and search, and there's our 1 mother that's in the system. So that's it. You know, having roles is a quick way to group data so you can easily find stuff when you're doing advanced searches. So that's roles, and then we have these. I won't show you because messages we have turned off, the message center. Campaigns isn't quite developed yet, and events, right now we don't have the grid there. You can manage events, but it's something that we're still working on. We'll probably have it done within the next week or so. So you can manage events. It just doesn't show what events you attended on, you know, when you're looking at a contact.
Okay,
something
so
I'm still working on.
that's going to be key. So that's something that will be developed or incorporated?
Yeah. The only thing that's not developed is being able to see, you know, on the contact side what events you've attended. But yeah, that's going to take me like no more than, you know, half a day to get that in there. So,
Okay.
but the events management piece, that's finished, and I'll show you that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, I'll show
We're
you
just,
that.
just talking about from the perspective of the user.
That's correct. That's right.
Okay.
Okay, so so let me jump back over here, make sure I didn't miss anything. So we have duplicate checking is on the fly. We're looking at this one here, improved contact management UIs. Let me show you the duplicate checking one real quick. Just take me like no time at all. Let's say you're creating a new contact record. You click on Add New Contact, and I'm going to put an email address in here that I know exists already. When you tab off this record, it makes a quick fetch to the database to see if that exists. It found that record, so we moved the email at the top of the form just for that purpose, because we didn't want the person to fill out the entire form and then go to submit it, and then the record's already in there. They just wasted 5 minutes typing all this information in. So we check right away as soon as they put that email address in if it exists or not. So here we're telling the user there's a record, Dan Monteg, that exists in the database that already exists. You can view the record at that point, and it will show you that record. And at this point, the person can go, yeah, this is the person I was about to enter in. It's already in there, and then we've saved them some time. So that's duplicate checking. Company data, you've already seen that. You've already seen how company data, how you can manage that now. Greater flexibility when assigning codes. You've seen that. Improved search functionality allows you to search on role. You saw that. I searched on mother. It pulled my record. So so bullet point number 3 is completed. Any questions about that? We can move on to the next one.
No.
Okay, very good. All right, improved reporting module. I know some of you users had issues with the advanced query generator. It was a little more advanced than we thought. When we created it, I thought it would be easier to use, but some of them found that kind of complicated. So what we did is we just got rid of that. There's no more advanced query generator. Now everything is stored procedure driven. So you tell us what reports you want, we create them, and they just magically show up on your report page. So for example, the one that we have in here is contacts by code. So if I wanted to look at, say, initiative codes, I can provide a filter here and say, put a specific code in there or a subcode, or I could just run it on all initiatives. And right here, it's going to show me, here's the initiative. It's grouped, so it's showing me here's the initiative, and here's the person under that initiative. Here's another initiative. These 2 people fall under that initiative, so on and so forth. And you can do this on any code type. So we have this report as a standard report in the system, but any custom reports, you just tell us what you need, and we'll create it for you. I think that was, I had a conversation with Floyd, and we thought that was the best way to do this because, your reports are pretty standard. Once you get the reports that you run on a daily basis or on a weekly basis, they're not going to change, except maybe the filtering piece. You may look at it between a different date time frame or a different code value or something like that. That will change, but as far as the columns that you see, that doesn't change. And the query on the back end definitely doesn't change. The SQL that we do doesn't change. So we thought that was the best way to do it.
Yeah, and I talked to Floyd, a bit about reporting because we do have some reporting requirements, and he said that, and I'm supposed to be sending him templates of some of the reports that we would like to be built into the system. I mean, It's not something we're announcing yet, but if we can incorporate that, and that way, at least when the regions try to capture their information, they can utilize those same reports and then submit their reports to our national office. So, I mean, that would be a way to eliminate a lot of duplication we have going on with.
Yes, ma'am, and that yes, exactly right. And what you just explained fits into exactly what you're seeing here. That fits perfectly because you're coming up with reports that you guys use, and we'll just build them, and they'll just show up in this drop-down list. So this drop-down list of select your report, any of those new reports that you give us and we build, they'll just show up in this drop-down list. And they're public reports. Anyone can use them from any region. So that's the plan, how that's going to work. Now these down here, you can print the report. If you print the report, I can show you this. This is kind of neat. It basically strips out everything except for the report, so you're not getting any any of the banner or the graphics or the footer. You're not getting anything except for the report. So we coded that. It's kind of nice. I think in the old way, I think we're showing like the actual website when you printed it. Now we just show you the report. The other thing is this this download Excel spreadsheet. You can get the exact same report in an Excel spreadsheet. So that's built in. So any reports that you give us will be downloadable as an Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, and I'll definitely work on that today to get you all copies of that. Well, at least this week, by this week.
Okay. Yep. And as soon as I get them, I'll get hot on it.
Okay, great.
Is there a way to just print out all the contacts that are in there as a report?
There is. I mean, I think
Definitely.
Yeah.
What they'll
right now, if you run a report, I don't think there is. Well, we can add, entire contact report, which would be an easy thing for me to write. But if you want to look at all of this, every user in the system, you'd have to do just a regular contact search. But it wouldn't be a report. You know what I'm saying? It would just be, like if I do this, I search, this right here is all the contacts in the system.
No, that's not.
Oh yeah, we need that other feature.
Yeah, we would need
Yeah.
feature because they would ask that, for instance, to pull all of the contacts as in report form, just so they can pull like those email addresses.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all we just need what fields you want in that report, first name, last name, email, whatever other fields you need. And then we'll create the report. It's I can knock that one out in literally like 10 minutes. But yeah, if you just get a collection of all those different reports, all contact report or whatever you want to call them, give us the name of the report and then the fields that are in the report and then the filtering mechanism that you want on that report.
Okay.
Then I can easily create that report for you.
And will they be able to do that? Will we be able to do that by region or like a global report or national office only?
That could be a filter. I mean, maybe the filter is by region. So when you're running your report, if you can imagine, you'd have a drop down here with all the regions in it. So you could pick, San Francisco, or you can pick maybe one of the options is all regions. So yeah, it would just be part of your filtering mechanism.
That would be good, like separate it out or have all regions, right?
Yeah, like you said, add as a filter. Just let them know, send it to them.
That sounds good. That sounds great.
Okay. So that is that's improved reporting. Everything's stored procedures. We build it kind of on the fly. The other really cool thing is with this report, we can do groups and sums. You can see how it was grouping the report, but we can do sums and counts and averages and calculations. Any kind of weird stuff like that you come up with, we can actually do that in the report. So we can give you more than just. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we can just give you more than your standard, spit everything out in a table into a report. We can actually do, we can do some calculations in the report for you as well.
Okay, so so we can also do like the number of, I guess it'll give us totals of contacts, maybe how many added this month or this week, or can you do that?
Exactly right. So you would have a report called, weekly, new record report or something like that. They'd click on that, and then they would basically get a sum. They would get maybe by region. You would see San Francisco 15.
Okay.
And whatever reports you can come up with and you can dream up, we can do it.
Yeah, and I know the regions are going to have a ball with that one. They'll probably have a lot of ideas. But as far as the analytics, will it allow us to say how, like if it's well, I guess I'm still thinking about email sending, like clicks. Okay, I'm beyond.
And you know what? I can answer that question for you because, like I said, we built that. We do kind of have an analytics built into the message center. So when you send, say, 100 emails out, it will give you a report on how many delivered, how many opened, how many actually clicked on the email to open it up, and if there's any links in the email, it will give you a count of, how many people clicked on the links in the email. So we do have kind of the analytics built into the message center. That's something we don't have to build. It's already there.
Okay, and yeah, because I think that's something we had worked on previously, and we want to enable all of those features because I know, those were key and that was also linked to that message campaign.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? We built the message center off of your recommendations, to be honest with you. So, so
Yeah.
it kind of works for you guys.
Right, and that was the whole.
I mean, we're using it. Yeah, we're using it for other clients, but we built it on your recommendations. So.
Okay, so yeah, we definitely want to enable all of those features because that's going to really give us a comprehensive system to meet our needs, what we know we need.
Yep. Okay, so I'm going to try to, I know we only got about 3 minutes left. So the import feature, I'm not even going to show you all of that, but you can import into any of these tables. So if you wanted to import into the person table, what it does is it gives you a template that you can click on. The template is very self-explanatory. It's just a spreadsheet that has some column headings, and you just fill it in. It also gives you a help file for that particular file that you're importing. You just fill it out, you hit upload, you pick that Excel spreadsheet on your local system, and you start audit and import. What it's going to do is it's going to audit the file first to make sure you know, there's no duplicate records, that, you know, all the fields have the correct information in it. If it's a good, clean file, it will do the import. But like I said, you can import into any of these tables. It's a little bit more advanced. You know, most of your, I don't know, I won't say most of your users, but there's probably, you know, a good number of users that, you know, that might be kind of turned off by this because, you know, if you're importing a person and an event, you have to do 2 different imports. Now we're trying to simplify that. I know Floyd's working on something so that we, you know, so we can streamline some of those imports. So if you're importing a, you know, a person, a code, and an event that he went to, you could do it on 1 record instead of 3 different imports. So that's the one thing we're still improving. But the import feature is there. It's just a little bit more advanced than probably most users care to use. But like I said, we are making that a little bit more simpler. Relationships. You've already seen that. We already jumped to that. That's when I created the different relationship records, you know, father, daughter, and the employee one, employee owner. So you've already seen that. Don't need to cover that. And then events management. Let me cover this really quickly. I have one. I'm going to click on the events tab. Here's the one event that I have in there. So I have this Rally for Change 2016, Brook Point High School. If I click on that, you know, it looks vaguely familiar. I mean, you have a lot of the same fields that you did in the old system. We did add an address, and we do a Google map on that address. Organizers and POCs, so you can pick, you know, who the event coordinator is or the event POC. By the way, these are roles. These are definable by you, and I've defined a couple of them in there. But I know there was a requirement, you know, a long time ago. I forget who made the suggestion, but they wanted to be able to connect, you know, event to a person in some way, like a coordinator or somebody, and you couldn't do that before. We just had that text box where they could type in, you know, Miss Sally Jones, but there was no connection between, you know, Sally Jones and a real record in the database. Now there is. So now if I pick event coordinator, you know, and I, oh, there's no event coordinators in here. Let me just do this real quick. So basically, when I did a search, it didn't find anybody, and that's because I have to go in and assign that role to someone. So we'll pick event coordinator. We'll make this person an event coordinator, and anyone in the system that has this this role type, I'll pick another one just so we have 2 records in here. I'll pick this one. I'll make this person an event coordinator as well. Where's that? Okay, now I'll jump back over to the events. I'll get back to the screen that I was on. So I'm going to edit this event. I'm going to jump to the organizers, POCs. Now when I pick event and I search for them, I'm just going to leave this blank so it pulls up all the event coordinators in the system. You can see the 2 people that I added as event coordinators are here. I can pick one, and now we have this event tied to this person as the event coordinator. That's a new feature we didn't have in the old system. Codes works exactly the same as the codes for contacts. So you have all the different codes in here for an event, and if you wanted to add, say, another region code, you just pick it. Pick San Francisco because it's the only one that we have codes for. I'll pick I'll pick that one, and we'll select, and you can see how I added a code. The same thing, I'd add an initiative really quickly. So add an initiative. That's how codes work. So you've already seen that. It works exactly the same way it does on the Contacts tab. And then attendees. This is how attendees work. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what was that? I saw something that said outcomes. What was that?
That's another code type that was in your old system.
Okay.
I don't know if that's one you used because there wasn't very many records in there, but these are the ones that were in the old system. Maybe you're not using that one. We can get rid of it.
No,
but
I was just thinking because a lot of what we do is you know, we want to have results. So I was just thinking.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you can code those results and put them in outcome, this is where you would put it. I just copied it because it was in your other database.
Right.
So if I wanted to add an outcome, you know, you do outcome. Oh, the code already exists. I already added an outcome for that one, but yeah, you can see I have an outcome in here. But yeah, that's what that is. It's just a code.
Okay.
Okay, jumping to attendees. I know we've gone over 2 minutes, but you know, you have attendees in here. Adding an attendee is very simple. You just search for them in the system, and you pick them. You know, these are the people that came, and you click OK, and you save it, and now they're attendees now. So that's pretty easy to do. If you want to actually go ahead.
I was going to say, is there an easy way to do that? Like if there are, you know, a list of 100, is there a way to do it as a, I don't know how to ask this.
To do it like a batch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You have to use the import feature, and like I said, this might turn some people off, but you would do person event, and you'd fill this out. Here's the template for it. You go to the grid, and you basically put the person's ID, which can be the person's email address, by the way. It doesn't have to be their ID. This grid is smart enough to know if it's a numeric, it's going to use an ID, but you can actually put, you know, Dan, you can put an email address in here and say that he came to event 1. Now you need to know the event ID. That's the only thing, you know. So we're going to make that's the thing that we're working on to make it a little easier. But this is how they would do it. They would basically put all the IDs in here, all the events, and then import this file, and they could put, you know, 1,000 records in there in one shot. But like I said, it's a little bit more involved. It's going to turn some of your users off because they're going to say, I don't know what the event ID is. Well, if you drill it down into the record, you can see the event ID. So they'd have to go look at the Christmas, you know, that event, see what the ID is, so they can fill the spreadsheet out. The one thing that we're probably going to do is make that easier, at least for your attendees. Just make it so that on this page, on your attendees page, we can write some custom functionality. That maybe there's an import button up here that says import attendees. You click on that, and then it gives you, you know, a different spreadsheet that's a little bit more friendlier because it already knows what event you're on, so you don't need to provide the ID to it, right? Because if you're looking at attendees for this Rally for Change event, it already knows what the ID is. So you just provide maybe just a bunch of email addresses at that point.
Yeah, or names for the particular event or initiative, maybe. I don't
know. But maybe that's something.
I agree that that ID is going to be an issue for the regions to have.
Right. We kind of you know we kind of saw that as well. So I know Floyd is working on improving the import feature. You know, I don't know if he needs my help on that, but I know he's kind of taking the reins on that. And you know, I will point out to him we probably need a way to import attendees if we're gonna design custom functionality for different data pieces like attendees and contacts. You know, maybe this is one he can work on first.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Sherry, Victor, you all have any questions? Or? No. Okay. So this is very good so far. That I like some of the changes that I'm seeing, and I think, you know, from a user perspective, the regions are really going to be vital to building in some of those functionalities that they need the most.
Yep.
And as for system administrators, you know, of course you'll have you'll have a guide for them as well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Cheat sheet or something that they can utilize. Now, we used to have in the other version, we had those guides built into like resources tab or something at the top. Will that still be readily available or in the system?
We can certainly add it. It's not part of this new system right now, but that's something we can add.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was very helpful, you know, so people won't have to look for manual hard copies or separate electronic versions. To just be able to go into the system and do a tutorial or look at a guide or print it. That would be helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
You also had a few YouTube videos, didn't you?
Yes, we are going to create those, and it'll be part of our training with the users, and we can make system admin training tutorials if you'd like.
Oh, yes, that'll be very helpful.
That'd be nice.
Okay.
And you know, I'm going to go. I know we have to. You sent the calendar for the proposed dates and all. So I'm going to try to focus on that this week, between today and tomorrow, because I don't know if we need to adjust some more dates or whatever. But you know, to get those other trainings scheduled.
Right. Now, Cheryl, I know before when we showed, you know, your regular users, you had to set up like GoTo on your end. For some reason, people couldn't set it. You know, they couldn't connect when we set it up. Is that still the case now, or can we? I don't know if you remember that. Like, you guys always had to set that up on your side.
Oh, the WebEx?
I think.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was the WebEx.
Okay.
And we only did that if we did it, you know, for the main group like you and, you know, some of the managers there. We could set it up, but for some reason, like when we'd set it up for like Anna and we do like a bigger group, some of them couldn't connect to our GoTo. So I don't know if that still exists. If it doesn't, then great, we can set it up. But just wanted to make sure, you know, before, you know, 10 minutes before our meeting.
I mean, you know, Sherry was saying that you know, they shouldn't have a problem, but I mean, it's something we can maybe put out to our regions to see if they have. I mean, they should have access to GoTo. We just, I don't know. That could have been a one-time thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They should be able to.
We'll set it up, and you know, if we have issues, I guess we'll deal with it then. But this was a while ago, so you might be right. Maybe that's been resolved.
Yeah, I know they've made some updates since then, so hopefully.
Okay.
So, Cheryl, will you still be on at our 3 o'clock meeting today?
Yes, I sent you an email yesterday that I want to go ahead and proceed with that meeting, only because of the regional staff team members. That's the usual time, and I know this was dedicated to the system administrators, so I didn't want to change the time that would impact their schedule.
That's great. I think we can go over some of maybe our questions, and you can give us feedback, and then the users can give us feedback as well.
You said go over some of the questions that we're raising now?
Yeah, just about the like the user training. I feel like maybe we can talk about maybe some of your concerns that you have, or go over maybe some more system administrative training. Just get like more of your feelings, since we're kind of running over, you know, right now.
Okay, sure, that's fine. I think that'll be great. And the users, I mean, they haven't seen this new system, of course, so I think it'll be a good opportunity to sort of talk about the direction and some of the updates that that are being proposed, which I think you may have mentioned already, but just that that's what's going to be the focus of our training upcoming to them, as well as the rest of the Women's Bureau staff.
Would you like the users to be able to see the system today?
Well, because I'm not sure what the regional staff schedules are, I don't think today would be a good day.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we'd have to kind of set up in advance. I mean,
okay.
we'll have a few of the regions on the call, which are our standard, you know, team members for WBIS. Dolores, Anna, and what's the Dolores, Anna, and Barbara.
Yeah,
so,
I just didn't know if you'd like us to change it to a go-to meeting, to kind of like this. But if you'd like us to schedule that like another time, we can definitely talk about that this afternoon.
Yeah, I think that, you know, as far as the best use of time, I think we should schedule it because we only have a half an hour for our biweekly meeting anyway.
Okay.
And I'm sure they'll have
fine.
more questions, and it'll be, yeah, I think the best thing to do would be to schedule it, and that way they'll have a chance. That's why I said I wanted to do a separate training for, like, you know, the WBIS team members, because they're really some of the people who are giving us the feedback to, you know, develop the system for all users. And then once we incorporate other staff, or we roll it out to other staff, that way we'll get, you know, we'll have everybody's input, but at least this immediate group, they'll be able to give feedback that will help with everyone's, you know, potential questions.
Yeah, definitely. Just checking on what you would like. So we'll just continue with the regular call-in meeting, and I think maybe we can address some of these things at that time.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, and like I said, I'll go ahead and look at the calendar more closely and see how we can go ahead and proceed with the you know, additional training.
Okay.
Oh, but I do have a question though about the schedule. I think you mentioned that it was 6 weeks for each training, and I guess I was a little confused by that.
Well, we just had it broken up into different sections just so we didn't overwhelm all of the users. So I was thinking about holding, like I proposed a Tuesday and Thursday, you know, hour-long meeting where we would go over just like events. And then on Thursday we would go over contacts, just so that they can have time to go over their questions and we can do the scavenger hunt. And I wouldn't want to overwhelm everyone. So it would just be like each session would be a topic.
Yeah, I think for the purpose of our general staff, I think something like we've had today, where you have a complete demonstration of the system, will be effective. I think for the specific users like our regional staff, that would it would be beneficial to have the scavenger hunt, more hands-on demonstration. But there will be multiple sessions. We have our system administrator, we have our regional users who are going to be our primary users, and then we'll have our WB national regional office staff that may consist of our general national office population and then our regional administrators, for example. The regional administrators may have a need to use the system, but they may not all be you know, regular users of the system. They may go in occasionally, some may go in more often than others. So they'll want to know what the features are and some of the updates are, but then you have those people who are going to be you know, users on a daily basis. You know, more you know, they'll be regular users of the system. There'll be national office staff who will want to know what the features are, but we may not be regular users. So that's why I wanted to focus on more hands-on for the regions, the regional staff, and then just a demonstration more or less for the rest of the Women's Bureau.
Yeah, and we can definitely separate that. I just wanted to give, like you said, the users a more in-depth, instead of just a demonstration. I definitely want them to have, you know, multiple training sessions, and definitely I feel like if we broke it down into different sections, it might, I guess, be better for teaching purposes, so they're not overwhelmed with so much information. But even if you'd like the national office, they can take part in the meetings and like for the users, but we can also do like we're doing now with one-on-one with the national office, and then we can do as many system administrative trainings as they'd like as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really just dependent on, you know, how you feel. But I was I guess the document that I sent you, the training calendar, is definitely more geared toward the user that's going to be using it every day.
Right, the regional, we'll say regional staff. Yeah. Yeah, so I think, you know, for them, perhaps we can continue with that schedule, or, you know, or we can maybe bring that up on the call today to see how just to get a sort of input from them and to see what they would prefer.
Yeah, that's.
And I think, you know, if we take time to focus on each area, that might be helpful for them, because it is a lot with the new system. But I just want to make sure, you know, they're going to be using, if we roll this out, they're going to be using the system. You know, I guess, are we going to have the training first and then the new system will be implemented, or is it something that we already have access to now?
We'll roll this out to UAT, which is our user acceptance testing. So that will just have test data. So initially, before we move this into production, we'll have it there first. So when you do the training and stuff, they'll be able to log in and play around and stuff. So I think that's the plan initially, is just get a test version out there for you guys, so at least you can play around with it.
Yeah, so I guess you can play around with it first, and then we'll roll it out to your live system.
Okay, so you all will provide that that information at what point to share with our staff, or is that like just prior to the training, or?
That's what I'm thinking. I think it's got to be before the training, right? I mean, before you do your training, because
yeah.
And
so I think once we come to a you know, like a solid date and time for the user training, we'll definitely send out a link so that they can play with the system and have that available to them.
Okay. So do you suggest, is that something you can send out like now and then we can schedule, or so they can have an opportunity to go in, or is it something we just want them to be able to go into just before the training?
I would say probably after the training. I think we'd want to show it to them first.
Okay.
That way they're just not aimlessly going in there and trying to figure it out. So it might be a better plan. Have the demo, have the training, and then have it ready that day. So when we're done with the training, we can conclude by saying, you know, everyone's already in there as a user. Okay. You do the passwordless registration, and they can go in, register their account, and then go in and start playing as soon as they get off the phone.
Okay.
Okay. Does that sound okay, Cheryl?
That sounds fine too. Yeah. Because I just know that, you know, if they go in and you say go in and you know, play around and explore, some users are more adept at it and have been in the system more. But again, this is really kind of a brand new system for the regions even. So that's going to be a whole bunch of questions, and it's like, okay, I don't have time to learn this, you know. So
yeah.
If they
so I think we'll definitely explain it to them. I think that might be a good approach first, is to explain it to them and show them how to do it before they get, I guess, too frustrated.
Yeah, I think that's great, and that way they'll see, you know, these are updates that are enhanced in functionality, simplification of the system, and, you know, and we're going to build from there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think that's better because, you know, there's some new pieces. They might look at, you know, relationships and go, what the heck is that, you know, or you know, how do I add a new code? I don't have an admin button here, you know, so it's probably better if they see it, you know, as a demo first. That way, at least they're somewhat familiar with the navigational changes that we've made.
And you know, as far as relationships, I think from our perspective, and I'm sure the regions may have more input, but you know, I know you used examples of parent-child, sister-brother relationship, but I think from our perspective, if we had something, say, for example, like moderator, lead, co-led, those would be more of our terminology.
Okay, then maybe I'll do that for the next demo.
Yeah, and
so
and I'm sure that, like, the regions, maybe on our call today, I don't know if this will be they'll be able to speak to that yet until they've seen that component, but they will probably have more input as to how we can best utilize those relationships, because it may be beneficial. We just can't really see it from our perspective. But I know, like,
I'm hoping when they see it, you know, a light bulb will go off and they'll go, oh yeah, we could use it for, you know, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it could be sponsored, co-sponsored. Like, we sponsor something, sometimes we co-sponsor, or, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
moderator, speaker, those may be included as well. It's just, I mean, they would be able to give more feedback on that. So I think maybe on our call today we can raise some of those questions as well.
Okay.
Okay. So thank you so much. We appreciate it, and we'll definitely be on the call at 3 and talk to you further. And also tomorrow we're available. What we said, 11 to 12.
Yeah, and I'll send out that invite as soon as we get off here.
Okay, sounds good. Okay,
Thank you guys
so much,
for your
guys.
time.
Thank you. We appreciate
Thank
you.
Thank you.